Grafting is a way of joining two pieces of knitting to create an additional row of knitting stitches. So rather than having a seam, it's more of a seamless join. It's often used for the toes of socks, but it can also be used for shoulder seams or tops of hoods or all kinds of things. So here I've got my stitches divided over 2 needles. There's an equal number of stitches on each needle. And for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to use a contrasting color to join the two sides. Usually you would use the tail end of your yarn, or sorry, the yarn that's attached to your knitting. And you just want to make sure that you cut it long enough, so usually at least 3 times as long as the seam to be joined, so that you don't run out partway through. So the first thing that you're going to do is to do a little setup. So to set up, you're going to bring your yarn, you've got it threaded onto a yarn needle, you're going to bring it through the first stitch on that front needle as if to purl, and then through the first stitch on the back needle as if to knit. So to see that, you're just going to bring it in between the needles from the front to the back. Then, now that you've done the little setup, here's the little routine, the little rhythm. You're going to go through the first stitch on that front needle, knitwise, and slide it right off. Then you'll go through the next stitch purlwise and leave it on the needle. Then moving to the back, you'll go to the first stitch purlwise, pull the yarn through, and slide that stitch off, and through the next stitch knitwise, and leave it on. So you're always going through one stitch, sliding it off, next stitch, leave it on. So again, the front needle, it's going to be knitwise, slide it off, purlwise, leave it on, and pull that yarn through. Then through the back, purlwise, slide it off, knitwise, and leave it on. So personally, I like to leave this yarn fairly loose as I do it and then adjust the tension afterwards. I just find it's easier to see what I'm doing. But you can try to, if you prefer, match the tension of your knitting as you go. So I'll show you afterwards why I leave it a little bit loose. Just going to work your way across the needle. So always sliding the first one off and leaving the second one on. And what you're doing here is you're essentially creating an additional row of knitting between the front and the back needles to join the two sides. So here I am with the last 2 stitches on the front and the back needles. So the next step is exactly the same, going through the front stitch and leaving it on, then through the back stitch. And then here, when you have those final 2 stitches, you'll notice I go through the front stitch, slide it off, there's nothing there. That's fine, you're just going to go straight onto the back and still going through that final time. So here I have my very loose and messy grafting, and this is where I just go through and I gently tighten it up. So here I've left it extra loose. You don't necessarily need to leave it quite that loose, but by doing this, then as I tighten, working the excess across the row, I can really match the tension and make sure that it looks completely seamless, so you don't see that join. And here, if it was in the same color of yarn, you wouldn't be able to see where it was at all. So just going all the way across. If you were working a long seam, I would probably do a little bit, adjust the tension, do a little bit and adjust the tension, just so that you're not left with a huge amount of excess to work through at the end. So here we are at the end of our grafted seam, and you can see each little V has the V above it and the V above that, creating a seamless join.